Well, we're really honored to have back with us today Andrew Mangione Jr. He's the Director of Business Development for the Association of Mature American Citizens, AMAC. And he's been with us before. And hey, Andy, do you still have your program on the Catholic radio station?
I sure do.
What's your response on the Pope's resignation?
Well, I know that our radio station went live to EWTN all morning covering this. I think the Pope is showing a tremendous sign of humility and recognizing that his capacity to perform his role as the head of the Holy Roman Catholic Church is deteriorating, and he's doing the right thing and stepping aside. It hasn't been done for centuries, but it sounds as if he wouldn't do it if he didn't pray upon it, and if it wasn't the necessary and the right thing to do.
You know, this is an interesting time because you've got Lent starting on Wednesday. You go right into the Holy Week and the Holy Month. This is kind of critical, isn't it? So you're going to try to get a new Pope before Easter?
I don't know if that's going to happen. I know that he's retiring on the 28th of this month, and then they'll vote. I think the College of Cardinals will meet to select a new Pope after he retires. Wow. So I don't know if they're going to try, you know, I don't think that they have a deadline. I think they want to focus on finding the right man for this holy office.
Well, like you said, it hasn't happened for over 600 years. Well, shocking news this morning. We'll keep an eye on it as well. Hey, thanks for being with us. Hey, AMAC did an interesting poll. What led you to do this?
Well, you know, we have a very interactive relationship with our members, Perry. We talk to them on a weekly basis. And what's interesting is that depending on the topic, we usually get a great response regardless of the topic, but some topics are more interesting and have more appeal to our members than others. And we are thinking ahead to 2016, and we thought that we'd ask our members who should be the nominee. And we had over 6,438 people respond to this poll. And if you have ever participated in an AMAC poll, Perry, you can't vote more than once.
Right.
So we had, there were a ton of, not a ton, but there were several candidates that were suggested. And Marco Rubio, far and above, he captured 49% of our AMAC members' votes as to their preference for him to be the Republican nominee for president in 2016. Out of the 6,438 votes, he got 3,155. Or 49%. The second place guy was Paul Ryan, and Paul Ryan's a solid candidate. He only got 17% of the votes. So by far, AMAC members that participated in this poll really are excited about Marco Rubio.
Well, what is it? I mean, he's new. He's a first-time senator. He's in his first term as a senator. What is it that you think that they like?
Well, I think he's got a great story, how he grew up. His father was a bartender. I mean, he came from nothing, literally, and he was a long shot candidate to be senator from Florida. And he's got a tremendous story, and he's conservative. I've met him when I was in Washington on AMAC business. There is a level of excitement and electricity that surrounds this guy, and I think our members are responding to his youth. I think they're responding to his enthusiasm and his passion for conservative values.
You know, I heard him and watched the live feed when he spoke at the Reagan Library, and no notes, no nothing, and you would think it was a young Reagan up there himself. I mean, this guy understands conservatism to the core.
Yeah, he does. And, you know, I think that one thing conservatives, you know, there's never going to be a single conservative that will echo exactly my personal view of conservatism or your personal view of conservatives or anybody else's. But you're right. I think that Marco Rubio does inspire some people to remember fondly and remember Reagan and remember how Reagan handled himself in the office, how he spoke to conservative values that people could understand. One thing that we're hearing, you know, we issue a magazine, the official magazine for AMAC members is called the AMAC Advantage, Perry. And the cover story that's going to come out at the end of this month is an interview that I was fortunate enough to do on the women of the right. And I was able to interview Laura Ingraham, Ann Coulter, Monica Crawley, and Jedediah Bila. And one of the questions I asked them was, are we losing the battle for hearts and minds? Are conservatives losing the battle for hearts and minds with Americans? And all of them agreed that we need better storytellers. We need people that can go out and articulate, we meaning conservatives, articulate the conservative message, articulate conservative values. And I think that people see that in Marco Rubio.
Very interesting. Any thoughts if it, I realize this is all speculation, but let's jump ahead. What if it's a Rubio against a Clinton? Well, how do you think this plays out with your members?
I think that that's probably the matchup they'd like to see. One thing, because it would be, can you imagine this? The fresh, young conservative from Florida versus another Clinton. It would be like another Bush. And I'm not knocking the Bushes, but I mean, this brand has been there, has done that. Yeah. People are familiar. I don't think that the Secretary of State necessarily has a great track record to run on. But what a contrast. I think it could be ideal to see an old guard liberal versus a fresh new brand of conservative.
You know, one of the things that going on now in Congress that seems to be so interesting to me, it's possible now that Graham and Paul could hold up some of these nominations to get more information out on Benghazi, which in the long run is going to hurt Clinton. So what's your feel on that?
Well, I saw that. I think I'm reading the same things you have, Perry. I think it's a nice tactic. And I think that, unfortunately, these types of maneuvers have to be made in order to get answers. I think people are still reeling or stinging from Hillary Clinton saying, what difference does it make? Well, we had 4 dead Americans. And obviously, she just doesn't get the fact that what she says matters and how the situation was handled matters. And there are still many questions that have to be answered. And if it takes holding up President Obama's nominees or the debate for his nominees on specific cabinet positions, then so be it. Yeah. I think that, and I agree with you, Perry, I think as more information comes out about Benghazi, it will definitely hurt the Secretary of State, or the former Secretary of State.
There we go. Where is AMAC? What are they thinking about how Congress is being managed, in particular the House and under Boehner? Any thoughts on that, or have you surveyed your members on that?
Nothing specific, like, do you think John Boehner is doing a good job? I think Boehner is, when I see him, I see a lot of frustration. I think our members reflect that as well in dealing with this president, because there's no compromise. I think we all know this president's tactics, and I think John Boehner echoes that. I think he's frustrated because there's no room to negotiate. It's the President Obama's way or the highway. And then if he doesn't get his way, he just blames Republicans in the Republican House. It's getting old. It's getting tired. I think it's wearing people down. Do you remember when the media would refer to Clinton fatigue back when Clinton was president? I think we're going to see a lot of Obama fatigue. And I think it's going to be directly related to his tactics and how he deals with the opposition, with Republicans on Congress, and how he handles the fact that people oppose what he has to say and oppose his policies. We all know it's confront, it's bully, it's antagonize, it's divide, and it's getting old.
Andy, back to Marco Rubio just for a moment. Now, he's been selected to give the Republican response to the President's State of the Union address tomorrow. And I understand after that, Rand Paul's going to give the Tea Party response. We've never seen that before. How critical do you think both these speeches are for these gentlemen going into 2016?
Well, I think if I can speak to Rand Paul first, I'm tired of seeing headlines, is the Tea Party dead? Tea Party's not dead, okay? All right, and I think the fact that there's going to be a Tea Party response to the State of the Union validates that.
Right.
But I'm excited and I'm jazzed to hear Marco Rubio give this response, because I think he is every bit, or he has the potential, if he's not there yet, to be every bit as charismatic a speaker as the president. We all are familiar with the president's oratorial gifts. We all are familiar with how he speaks, how eloquently he speaks, but he's also been around for over 4 years now. And we know that a lot of his words that he speaks in a lot of headlines, he speaks in a lot of short phrases, and there's not a whole lot of truth to what he has to say with regard to his policies. And I would like to see Senator Rubio dissect this, and I think this could be a big moment for him as we look at 2016.
Well, it's exciting to watch, and your survey is phenomenal. That's really interesting, very interesting to me. All right, how do people get a hold of AMAC and get more information?
Well, thank you, Perry. They can go to our website at www.amac, that's AMAC.us, AMAC.us. You can learn all about AMAC, and you can sign up. It's only $16 for you and your spouse, for a household, I should say, to join for 1 year. Or they can call and talk live to one of our member services representatives at 888-262-2006. That's 888-262-2006.
Andy, thank you. You're a delight. Let's stay in touch, okay?
My pleasure, Perry. Thank you for having me.